So the USA just dropped their roster for the October camp versus Australia and Ecuador, and I'm going to give you guys my reaction to it today. Now, spoiler alert, I'm honestly feeling pretty positive about it, but of course, let me know how you guys feel about it down below. Whether right now, at the end, just let me know how you feel about it, and I will read and react to as many as we can. So, per usual, I'm going to read off the list for those who don't know, and if you do know, feel free to skip ahead. We're going to go goalkeepers through four. So, starting in goal, four keepers this time: Chris Brady, Matt Freese, Patrick Schulte, and Matt Turner. Moving on into the defense, Max Arfson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Alex Freeman, Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream, Chris Richards, Anthony Robinson, and Miles Robinson. And in the midfield, Brendan Aronson, Diego Luna, Weston McKennie, Aiden Morris, Christian Roldan, James Sands, Tanner Tessman, and Malik Tillman. And in the attack, Patrick Ajiman makes his return, Folarin Balogun, Christian Pulisic, Tim Weah, Haji Wright, and Alex Zendejas. So let's talk about it, guys. There's three players I want to highlight that are included here that maybe I would not have thought they would be in the past. So to start off, Miles Robinson. You know, he's one of those players that has been in and around the U.S. men's national team for a couple of years now. Does he deserve to be here? I can't say he does over some players, right? Good player on his own, but he's definitely the back of the pack here when it comes to the depth chart of this center back pool. And there's a lot, which to me says that this is going to be a three at the back, which I love. I think it's fantastic. I think it looked really good against Japan in the September international window. So I'm really happy to see that Poch is carrying along with that setup. But yeah, Miles Robinson, I just don't know if he needed to be here. Maybe you would have given it to like Noah Kai Banks, and I think he's hurt. But you know, I'd much rather a younger guy or a newer guy who just to give him the experience of being in the camp and whatnot. So he's a player that I'm a little confused on him being here. Another one is Alex Freeman, man. Alex Freeman, he's fine, and I think he is going to be a U.S. men's national team regular in the future once he moves on from MLS, which is probably going to be somewhat soon, at least at the end of the season, maybe halfway through next. But when that time comes is when I think he should be with the U.S. men's national team. I think Poch obviously thinks he might be able to be with the team at the World Cup. That's why he's here. Personally, I still would have went with Joe Scally. No, I don't watch him week in and week out, but I do know Mönchengladbach have not been that good to start the season. So maybe that's a factor. But yeah, he is here. Is he going to get game time? I'm not quite sure. He probably is going to, but he's one that I'm a little confused on. Now, number three, Christian Roldan. Again, if you've watched the channel, you know my thoughts on Christian Roldan. I just don't know why he's here. I really do think Poch picked a really good midfield this time. That one should not have included the likes of Christian Roldan. I think he deserves to get a Josh Sargent treatment. Like, you know, Josh Sargent, we know how good he is for club, right? In Norwich City. We know how good Roldan is for the Seattle Sounders in MLS. But has he done enough with the U.S. Women's National Team to warrant still being selected and being a part of it? I can't say so. And then another player I want to mention is Patrick Ajiman. Now, I mean, he's probably the biggest meme of the U.S. men's national team over this past summer. He is here as well. I'm not the most upset about it. I mean, still, it's just personal preference. I would prefer Josh Sargent to be in here over Ajiman, especially because I know that Ajiman's probably going to be playing, unfortunately, at least more than I think he deserves. But what, 2 assists through, I think, 4 appearances in for Derby County in the championship so far. It's fine. I'm not the most upset that he's here. I would have liked others. I just hope that he doesn't take away opportunities from other number 9s in this team. But hey, the fact that that is the only players that I had to talk about notable inclusions here, that is a step in the right direction. There's only 4 I needed to mention, and maybe only 2 or 3 of them I actually had to mention here. Otherwise, though, this team is pretty good. I don't know what happened over there. Maybe Podge got slapped around by somebody in the USSF. I highly doubt it. Probably by USMNT Twitter. But he's actually doing something good here. This is as close to an A team as we've seen for in a long time. Now, real quickly before I continue, let's talk about some players who are not here that maybe could or should have been here. I already mentioned Joe Scally. I wish he was here. I wish he had gotten more chances with USA than he has so far, and I do think he should be at that next World Cup. It is a shame he's not here. I do hope we see him maybe in November, maybe in future international windows before then. Yunus Musa not being here is also quite interesting. He just started the season with Atalanta after having moved there from AC Milan. He just got assist in European football the other day to win them the game, I believe, or at least to help win them the game. But maybe it's one of those things that we've heard from Poch before is he's waiting for him to get acclimated, get some game time under his belt with Atalanta. Maybe we'll see him in November, and I'd be kind of shocked if we don't. If I'm being fully honest, I do think he should be in and around the team to some extent. So definitely one more notable exclusion there. And then Tyler Adams is not here, which you may have noticed. Now, for those who don't know, I've heard that he's expecting a baby, actually. That's why he's not here. It's no controversy, no injury thing. He's just expecting a baby. He's going to be a father. So if you're saying anything against that, you were just a bad person. Just let him have his baby. It's just a friendly. So he is not here as well. But three notable exclusions. Again, one of those things where normally, I think the last video, I had like 12 people that could have been in the team that are not here. Those are the three key ones that I'm kind of worried about. But otherwise, again, a really, really good team. And there are a bunch of players who were in the last camp that are not here. I'm going to go over those as well for those who don't know. Noah Kai Banks is not here. Tristan Blackman is not here. Jorginho Dest isn't here. I believe he's hurt, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below. Nathan Harriel is not here, which I think is good. Sebastian Berhalter is not here, and thank you, Pochettino, for doing what nobody wanted to do apparently in the USSF. That is a great choice. Luca De La Torre in the exact same boat as him, in my opinion, and maybe I'm just a LDLT hater. And a Berhalter hater, but I don't think either of them should have been in here or the last one. Jack McGlynn is not here as well. Sean Jawadski is not here as well. Damian Downs isn't here as well in the attack, but Patrick Argimon is, so that's quite interesting. I mentioned him already. Josh Sargent is not here as well. I think his time with Usmnt'S, honestly, probably almost done by now. And then in goal, Jonathan Klinsmann and Roman Solentano are not here as well. But most of those players did not deserve to be in that one. And let alone don't deserve to be in this one. So overall, this is a huge win for not only us fans, but for the U.S. men's national team as a whole. Like I said, this is probably the closest to an A team we have had in a long, long time. And going back, so I already mentioned, I think Poch is setting up for that three at the back here. I mean, you only have what, three fullbacks in the entire team, and obviously you need two to start. So it's very clear that he's going with three at the back here, and we've seen this before. But like I said, in that Japan game, that is one that excelled a lot. And yes, I know it wasn't a Japan A team; it was far from it, might I add. But still, a good performance is a good performance, and that good performance was helped by the fact that they played a three at the back. I think they look really solid, and I am glad to see that Poch is not just sticking with his old ways and is trying new things, especially against teams like Ecuador and Australia, who are both going to be at the World Cup. You might be playing them in your group or the next round and whatnot. This is exactly what Poch needed to be doing. I like, in particular, Mark McKenzie being here, man. I think he's perfect for that back three. He plays a back three in Toulouse, I believe, in Ligue 1. So the fact that he's here is a step in the right direction and shows me that Poch might actually care about how his players he picks fits the system. It literally could have been the case where higher up USSF people told him, okay, you know what? Don't worry about MLS anymore. They had their opportunity. Now that it matters, you have to bring the A team. And I think that's what he did. Chris Richards obviously deserves to be starting. I'm sure Tim Ream is going to start in the middle of that three per usual. I'm sure if you watch the videos before, you know that I don't like Tim Ream anymore. I just don't think he should be part of the team, but he is going to be here. I hope CCV gets time. That also means that Max Arfson, Ramsden, Freeman are probably going to be playing in a more advanced wingback role, which I think suits our fullback pool very, very well. In particular, Anthony Robinson is one of the best left backs in the entire world at getting up the pitch and being able to help out the offense. Max Arfson looked fantastic, to be honest, at least better than what he normally does in that last window as a fullback, or as a wingback, I'm sorry, an attacking wingback, that is. That is what he plays best. And I'm glad that we were able to see that last time, and I'm glad he's here probably for that reason. And Alex Freeman as well is one of the better fullbacks in the MLS at getting forward, at getting the ball forward and helping out that attack. Now, defensively, he has had some miscues. There was one highlight, like a month ago, that looked really, really bad. If you know what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments down below. But these roles suit these players back when it comes to the defense. Now, looking at the midfield, I like it a lot too. I think there's some players that I think should get more game time than others, but the inclusion of Aiden Morris, fantastic. He's been absolutely lights out with the championship so far for Middlesbrough. I've seen plenty of Middlesbrough fans online and social media praising him for what he's been doing for the team so far. I think he fully deserves to be on that 2026 roster. So I am glad that he's here. I think James Sands has been very good in the Bundesliga for St. Pauli. They've kept him for a reason over there. And he's one of those players that I was getting kind of worried that wouldn't get the looks that he deserves. But look at him here. He obviously did, and I hope he does get some game time. And then you have Tanner Tesman, man. Tanner Tesman, he's been a big subject for conversation in the USMNT Twitter recently. And, the fact that he might not be a part of the team in the future was the big worrying topic of discussion there. He had an absolute banger for Lyon, and I think the Europa League the other day. So he fully deserves to be here. He's one of those players that I think just has unfortunately not been getting the good end of the stick when it comes to Pochettino's reign at the Usmnt'S national team. So him being here, I think, is fantastic. I'm very happy that he's here, and I do hope he gets a chance to play in a role that suits him as well. Now, some other players here, I mean, like Brendan Aronson, Diego Luna, I'm okay with him being here. Obviously, Diego Luna is not having as good of a season as he had for the last one, but I do think his time with the Usmnt'S national team has earned him the right to be in this kind of spot. So that is a win for him. Brendan Aronson, he's a workhorse. The U.S. Federation obviously loves him because he's been around for a long time, even when he might not deserve it when it comes to club level. But he is here as well. So I'm really interested to see if they do get game time over the likes of an Aiden Morris or Malik Tillman, even, or Christian Rodon for him. I mean, if Christian Rodon gets any minutes, that'd be shocking. I'm very happy that Weston McKennie is back with the team. I think, again, midfield, same as defense. A lot of these players here are deserving of being here, which is fantastic. Now there are other players I think should get over the likes of maybe Rodon and Diego Luna. I think, like I said, Yunus Musa, I think he should be in November, in the November training camp. It's a shame he isn't here, but I think come November, he should be around. I think Johnny Cardoso too. I think once he's back from injury and it's playing more for Atletico Madrid, I think he should be in November one too. I mean, he's playing for Atletico Madrid, right? One of the best clubs in the world. I do think that he should be in that World Cup spot. So I'm hoping to see him be a part of this team come November, at least as soon as he can after injury. And I really hope this isn't a sign that his time with the U.S. men's national team is over. I really hope not. So hopefully we see Johnny Cardoso pretty soon. But again, midfield, I'm feeling pretty happy about. And then we go into the attack. I talked about Ajiman already. Whatever. Balogun, great. I'm glad that he's here. He is, at least right now, without a doubt, the number 9 in the U.S. men's national team pool. Ricardo Pepi obviously is not here because of injury and whatnot, but he is probably the only other striker right now that can rival for Balogun's spot. So fantastic that he's here. Christian Pulisic, obviously, I mean, come on. If you're watching this video, you know just how good he is for AC Milan. He's one of the most informed players in the world, one of the top wingers in the world right now. He deserves beer. He's the best U.S. men's national team player, maybe of all time, depending on who you ask. I'm not saying that, but some people are. I'm glad that he's here and not maybe taking his time, with doing whatever else, which he was doing at some point, but he is here. Tim Weah is here as well, who's been in solid form for Marseille when he gets the game time. Scored at the Bernabeu recently. I'm glad that he's here. I think, again, he's another key player for the attack. And in fact, scored our first goal of the last World Cup. So maybe he can do it again in the next one. Haji Wright, man. Haji Wright lighting up the championship. Literally as good, if not better, than Josh Sargent so far this season. He is lighting it up. I mean, just to start the season, 7 starts out of 8 matches with 7 goals. He has been killing it for Coventry in the championship. So I'm glad he's here because, again, he's another one of those players that I was kind of worried about, getting kind of pushed out of the team and not really getting the opportunity that he deserves. He fully deserves that. Pachi's that he's going to be here. He deserves to play over Ajiman in a somewhat similar profile, but more technically sound abilities when it comes to that. And honestly, I do hope he gets the opportunity to play over Balogun here. And maybe I'm wrong about Pepe being the only one. Maybe Haji Wright can start to turn up, given the opportunity for the youth men's national team if he had the chance. And then Zendejas rounds it out there. And I, for one, am very happy he's here now. I'm not going to lie, long time ago, I wasn't really a fan of Zendejas being a part of the U.S. men's national team anymore. But, he's turned it around. And I think he looked pretty good in that last window. And he's been in electric form going into this window. I mean, the last 4 club games he's played, he has 4 goals and 1 assist. That is absolutely fantastic. And I know FOTMOB isn't everything, but if you want just a glimpse of that, go on FOTMOB and look at his most recent form. He had 2 goals just recently against Pumas, like last week. He is killing it right now for Club Medica in Liga MX, and I do think he deserves to be with the U.S. men's national team as long as he can keep up the form he showed in September. Now, Ecuador and Australia, man, are not easy opponents. Ecuador, they're playing on October 10th, and Australia playing on October 14th. Now, like I said already, these are 2 teams that are going to be at the World Cup. You have a very good chance at playing one of them, or at least a team similar to their caliber. It's not easy to make the World Cup. So any team of that level, you need to take seriously. And I do hope that we see that from Poch. I don't want to see a half-assed kind of lineup, if I'm being fully honest, because I think from Ecuador and Australia, we're going to see equally as good or important lineups for them when it comes to these games. And it doesn't matter if the other team is playing A team or B team, right? I think we kind of expected Japan to be playing somewhat of a B team. So I feel like the USA's was a little worse than it needed to be. If I'm being honest, I kind of do want to see the full A team, at least most of it, both games, right? You need to get the team acclimated, especially if you're switching systems to a three at the back. I really hope we get to see a lot of the top players here get 90 plus minutes over the course of 2 games. I think this is going to happen. I think it's the reason Ponch called these level of players in, but that remains to be seen. But of course, those games, like I said, are not going to be easy. With this team, though, I feel somewhat confident that we can get a good result against either. I think Australia, we for sure can beat. Ecuador is the one where I'm a little skeptical because Ecuador are a very good South American team that has been at the top of CONMEBOL football for a couple years now, or at least thereabouts. So I hope that Posh takes it seriously. As an Argentinian, he's going to know what Ecuador is like, right? And they have some great top tier players. Just to name a few, Moises Caicedo, who is one of the best midfielders in the world right now, Stupinian over at AC Milan, you have William Pacho over at PSG, just to name 3 of their top players, right? They have a very good team. USA needs to take it very seriously. Yes, it's tune up. Yes, it's a warm up for the World Cup, but show if you want people in the stands, if you want people watching these games, show that we can be at the top of football. That is what I'm hoping to see here. But of course, we're going to have a preview and predictions video out for these games probably next week or so. So leave a like if you guys are interested in that. And make sure, like I said in the beginning, leave a comment down below how you feel about this team selection, whether you like it, whether you dislike it, what changes you would make, whether that's including somebody or excluding somebody. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you guys want more USMNT, CONCACAF, or World Cup content, Getting Football is the place to be. So make sure to hit subscribe and turn notifications on. My name is Elijah. Like I said, we are Getting Football, and hopefully see you guys in a future video. Take care.